Thank you, everyone, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about quantum today. I'm really excited and very thankful for this opportunity. So today I'm going to be talking about how quantum computing will redefine cybersecurity, understanding how it is going to disrupt cryptography, and that's how it's going to redefine it, and why it is a security risk, and what must one do to prepare and stay relevant, right? So my topic will cover most topics that most presenters have covered, but somewhat from a cybersecurity and a technology perspective. Okay. So going forward, just to say who I am, I am somebody who has a lot of experience in cybersecurity and infrastructure. I have worked in multiple companies, IBM, Microsoft, and I've been working in financial sectors in the past 24 years. I created a product, Chronos, which is going to help with quantum computing, and I'll talk about it a bit later. I previously worked with multiple multinationals, and currently I've just initiated a PhD, and if everything goes well, I'll be working with Dr. Isaac. That's me in a nutshell. So before I jump in and explain and give context to it, I just want to talk a little bit about data and what it is and why it's important. And then we will delve into the technology components and how quantum is going to impact it, right? When we talk about data currently, we all know that it is a foundational asset in the digital world, right? It drives innovations, it defines competitive edge, and it doesn't matter if it's your personal health records, your financial transactions, it's just the backbone of both our daily operations and our long-term strategy for each and every organizations, irrespective of the industry, even in universities, right? So every organization is built on this information, and protecting it means that protecting the trust, the continuity, and reputation of people and of the content that is within that data, right? And right now, data is protected in a couple of ways. We protect the data at rest. What that means is anything that you're accessing, let's say in the university, your student records, or in a bank, what you're accessing, how much money you have, all of that is stored in databases, servers, and cloud environments. And an encryption is applied to that. Similarly, in transit, while we are doing online banking, we are buying stuff online, we are using protocols like TLS and VPN, which protect our data through an encryption at the back end. Then there is also authentication mechanisms like our digital certificates. We are accessing Wi-Fi and we're talking because we know that none of this is available. Just anybody can sniff it and take it out because there is encryption in it, right? Our passwords, our biometrics, everything. Even the emails that we send to each other, there is digital signatures and hashing, which ensures that there is integrity and non-repudiation. We know that the email that comes to me is coming from the person who says it is coming from, right? So all these things are protecting our data. And the technology behind what is behind that is protecting our data is called cryptography. And we all talk about cryptography, and Dr. Isaac also spoke about cryptography, and basically. But what is cryptography and what are its components, right? It's the practice of converting information into a secret code only the intended recipient can see, right? So this process of converting a message into a code is called encryption, and the process of decoding that code is decryption, which we all know. But in our digital lives, we hear it a lot more on WhatsApp, end-to-end encryption, on code, on databases. But this has been there even a long time ago. Like in World War II, um, there were still secretly coded messages that were sent between the soldiers and between people to understand and to showcase what they want as a secret. But this was done with machines like the Enigma machine, which looked like a typewriter that I'm showing now. At that time, it was not a digital way of doing it. It was more a physical way of sending these codex messages, right? And the Germans believed in this Enigma codes are unbreakable, but because of mathematicians like Alan Turing who managed to crack this code, and breaking the Enigma code allowed us to, to break the allies and, to win the war. So what I'm trying to say is cryptography is not a new concept. In digital life, we hear it often, but it has been there for a long time, right? So what is current cryptography? So if I have to talk about current cryptography, it is the behind the scenes technology that is keeping us safe in our day-to-day lives, right? And we currently, when we talk about cryptography, up to 70 to 80% of the cryptography that we talk about is public key encryption, right? It's PKI, we call it, and it is RSA algorithm that is basically used. And you might ask me, what is an RSA algorithm, right? It's RSA is a kind of encryption that is based on two keys called private and public keys. And what this algorithm is generated with a mathematical function at the back end, which is just a product of two large prime numbers, right? And to break this encryption, we need to know both the private and the public keys, which are the two prime numbers, which is impossible, right? So it's a very difficult task for the classical computers. Currently, we're using encryption day to day in everyday life, because our classical computers will take a million years almost to break this encryption. And the numbers that we're using for this encryption, which even Isaac mentioned, as you're saying that we're using 1000 bits. Currently, we use 2048 bits on RSA algorithm. And to break it is literally impossible. So hence, we're all safe. And just to give you a bit of an idea how this algorithm works is, let's say I create two keys using prime factorization, and these numbers or two keys are so big. One is called a private key, the other one is called a public key. And what I will do is, private key, I'll keep it with me, and public key, I'll give it to anyone who wants to share a message with me. Right. Let's say I'm going to pick on Dr. Isaac. He's going to share a message with me. He will have my public key. He will wrap his message with the public key, and he will send me the message. I can read it because I'm the only one who has access with the private key. And I can share this public key with thousands of people, with everyone who wants to share that message with, but no one else can read it because I'm the only one who has the private key. And because of this concept, we have all been safe. We are using RSA in each and everything all over the world, especially in banking, in payment industry, in universities, in hospitals, in everywhere. And we are safe and we're saying nothing can happen to us. But what happens if this private key and public key is accessible, or somebody can break this algorithm? All our data will be publicly available, and um, everything, any hacker, any attacker can sniff this data and can access our data, right? Our intellectual property. So why is this a quantum threat, right? And what will quantum computers do? Because I said classical computers cannot break this encryption. It will take them millions of years. But when a quantum computer with enough qubits is available, it can break this encryption from hours to minutes, right? And it could actually cause a lot of damage. And you could ask me, how is that possible? How can a quantum computer break this, right? So I'm going to point out a couple of things. Classical cryptography versus quantum cryptography. Classical cryptography is all in zeros and ones. Quantum cryptography, when we talk about quantum capability, we talk about qubits, and everything when we talk about quantum capability is all exponential, right? Classical computers struggle with factoring large numbers or solving discrete algorithms, right? Which is the backbone of RSA or ECC algorithm. Whereas quantum computers using these qubits and superposition can break RSA 2048 and ECC in hours and days. And the unique quantum features that enable this decryption are superposition, entanglement, and interference. And I believe we have heard about this again and again today, right? So if I have to give you an example on superposition here, the simplest one that I'm going to give is if I flip a coin today and play the game corresponding to our classical computer, the probability of me winning the flip the coin game, there are only two states, a head or a tail, a 0 or a 1. 50% chances that I will win and the 50% chances that the classical computer will. But last year, the same thing was proven by IBM that if you play the same game with the quantum computer, 97% of the time the quantum computer wins, and the 3% the probability that I might win. And the 3% is also because currently there's a lot of noise. And because of the noise, the probability and prediction on the quantum computers might not be so accurate. Can you imagine when that noise is gone, or we achieve the coherence, then we can do so much more better. Then the next thing I want to talk about is entanglement. So as it has explained multiple times, entangled qubits share information instantly. So highly synchronized operations are when are needed. We can use advanced quantum algorithms like Shor's algorithm, and we can achieve entanglement. Then the interference, quantum algorithm uses interference to actually cancel out wrong solutions and strengthen the correct ones. And I'm using a simpler long language here and not using the physics that has been actually already explained, right? So this drastically speeds up solving of mathematical problems that actually protect the RSA and ECC. Hence, the combination of all these help, to get that unique quantum features. Then talking about quantum speedups. When I say about quantum speedups, I'm talking about specialized algorithms like Shor's algorithm and Grover's algorithm, right? They using Shor's or Grover's algorithms, you can actually cut through today's mathematically hard problems, at an unprecedented speed, which was not done earlier. And these algorithms can factor large numbers and compute, discrete algorithms exponentially faster. Shor's algorithm is primarily responsible for breaking RSA algorithm, whereas Grover's algorithm, while it does not break the any cryptographic algorithms, like when Dr. Isaac was explaining the brute force part using Grover's algorithm speeds up brute force attempt in a very different way. What that means is AES is a kind of encryption that is used on databases. Let's say I have a database where I'm using AES encryption where no hacker can come in, and currently my AES key size is 258. When Grover's algorithm is applied onto the database algorithm, the speed, the number of bits are weakened, and though it is 256 bits, its strength will be halved. It will behave like it's AES 128 bits. So while Shor's algorithm breaks, public key infrastructure algorithms like RSA, ECC, ECDSA, Grover's algorithm halves the strength of those algorithms. So it is still going to pose a risk with that. Okay. So going forward, what is the impact when these algorithms are broken, right? So quantum computers, like I said, they break the encryption protocols, exposing sensitive data. And I'm going to talk more from a financial sector point of view to showcase the importance here, right? So as we know from a financial sector point of view, we all do banking and we can relate to it, how the systems become vulnerable and how digital signatures and secure payment gateways could be compromised. But we also, from a cybersecurity point of view, there is something called Harvest Now and Decrypt Later, which is called HNDL. What threat actors are doing is currently all the encrypted data, though they cannot read the data, they cannot break the encryption, they are still copying the data and storing it with the thought process that when a quantum computer with enough qubits is available, they could use quantum computers to decrypt the data. So this is mainly hacktivists and it's government data. It is all that kind of data currently that is under threat because these things are currently happening, right? And that's why many organizations are already saying that though the quantum threats is only 4 years later, our data is currently already exposed. So they are saying that the migration from a quantum impacted algorithm to a post quantum cryptography PQC algorithm needs to happen sooner than later. All our network security will be broken. Every network security currently uses a protocol called TLS protocol. The backbone of TLS protocol, it doesn't matter if it is a 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3, in every organization is an RSA or an ECDSA or an ECC. And all of these are vulnerable when a quantum computer with enough compute is available. All of our application security will be compromised. And if I have to talk about application security, let's take Python or Java. We use coding, we use to actually encrypt something, we use cryptographic libraries, right? Cryptographic libraries like PyCa, cryptography, all these are libraries that are imported into the Python code and being used. All those libraries and their backbone is either an RSA, a Diffie-Hellman, a ECC, and ECDSA. And all of those are going to be vulnerable, leading to operational disruptions, financial losses, and loss of trust. Okay. So critical banking assets that are going to have the biggest impact are going to be online banking platforms. And why I want to show this is because there are already a lot of organizations that have started this journey, and like MasterCard and Visa Card have already started the journey of moving to post-quantum cryptographic algorithms, which are going to work efficiently on quantum computers, and quantum computers will not be able to break them. These are some are critical banking assets. I want to show you specifically to tell you, and though they are banking assets, there's a lot of components in these assets that we use in our day-to-day lives, right? And just as an example, I want to talk about Apple, right? Apple came up with an algorithm called PQ3, and key distribution was something that Isaac also spoke, quantum key distribution. So when you use a WhatsApp or a Signal or any kind of a messaging chat, like even an iMessage, there are certain levels. Level 0 is there is no encryption. Level 1 is there is an end-to-end encryption, like in Signal and WhatsApp. Then there is a level 2, which is your classical encryption is end to end. And on top of it, you put a key distribution, a QKD, which what it is doing is combining your classical encryption with a quantum key distribution. In 2016, Apple already introduced that into iMessage, saying that whoever is using iMessage, other than end-to-end encryption, we give you QKD. What that is doing is that's doing a key distribution between the sender and the receiver using quantum. So it is more difficult for it to be broken compared to a classical computer. And then there is a level 3 and further as well, where not only key distribution, the whole authentication process, everything is quantum computer based, right? So in this scenario, the only way that it will work is if I have an iPhone that has QKD, which is maybe if I'm on a latest iOS, and the person I'm chatting to also has an iPhone that is on a latest iOS, then we both have a channel that uses QKD, quantum key distribution, and it is much safer. But if I'm talking to somebody who is using a legacy phone or an iOS that is not up to date and using an older version, a QKD cannot negotiate with the receiver because they are not on the same version. Then it always falls back to a classical key distribution, which means a lot of things in the world needs to move away from legacy to quantum computing, to latest quantum protocols for us to be safe in the future. Okay, so the moment where quantum computers will break classical encryption is called Q0. And Q0 is approaching very, very fast, right? I will give just a timeline. In 2012, we said we need 1 billion qubits to break RSA encryption. By 2018, we said we wanted only 230 million stable physical qubits, right? That number dropped in 2019 to 20 million qubits, right? By 2025, now in June, there was an article released to say that even with the noise we have now, we might only need 1 million qubits. And with now the generative AI and the way that digital transformation is happening, I think, and a lot of professors and physicists and researchers have said that by 2030 to 2032, we will be in an era where classical encryption would be broken completely and legacy cryptographic infrastructure will begin to fail. So government agencies are proactively working on it, and they want to make sure that when a big telecom infrastructure or bankings fall, the country falls. So hence, government agencies are proactively looking at it to make sure that we have something planned to get to a safer, quantum safe environment. Um, so from that point of view, what must we do? What must organizations do? What must academics do? So we must create an awareness first. Many people do not know. Demystifying quantum is the first thing. I usually do board trainings and help people and organizations and industries to understand that this threat is real. Then the next thing is, within your organization, you need to understand what is going to be impacted. And there is a name for it called crypto bill of material. If you have a big infrastructure, identifying what crypto bill of material will be impacted when quantum computers with enough qubits is available is mandatory. Now there is a regulatory compliance all over the world. Soon, I believe even Reserve Bank is going to release a regulatory compliance for every institution that has a financial component into it. Many countries have already released a regulatory compliance, and it's mandatory by 2026 year end or 2027 mid year in different countries to come up with a crypto bill of material. Then the third biggest thing is IBM has already started this journey. Most of us are dependent on the infrastructure. We dependent on IBM's cloud, Azure, Microsoft's cloud to run things. We dependent on AWS's cloud. If they do not migrate from classical cryptography to quantum cryptography, even if you as an organization or individual have migrated, it will still impact you. And I have attended IBM's and Google sessions. They have come and they started presenting their roadmap to say how they are going to be implementing post-quantum cryptography and when they are going to get rid of classical cryptography. So that is another thing that needs to consider. And once you know in an organization what needs to be fixed, the next step is to create a program to remediate all those deprecated environments in your organization. These are the 4 algorithms that are approved by NIST in 2024 officially in a draft version. All the existing impacted algorithms like RSA, ECC, CDSA, Diffie-Hellman, all of those will be replaced by one of these 4. And this implementation is not going to be an implementation overnight. It's going to be a journey. It will be over a period of a year or 2. Hence, most organizations are saying that we must start the journey now and not wait for until the problem hits us. Okay. And finally, this is just to say what United States, European Union, Australia, UAE, China, UK, even now India, everybody have released an executive regulation to say that before 2020, 2030, you must be ready with a crypto bill of material. So each and everyone knows what needs to be fixed and needs to be migrated onto post-quantum cryptographic algorithms, right? Like I said, it's a journey, and it's not going to be done within a few days or a few months. It's going to take a few years to do this. When I present this, I always talk about the importance of quantum computing and how it's going to affect all our lives. But this is going to be one of the negative impacts, which more than while organizations are working to fix this, there are threat actors also working at the same time to steal our data and to impact this. As future leaders, as physicists, as researchers, this is a big paradigm shift for all of us. So much like, I believe, much like the internet disruption, this is going to be the next biggest disruption that we're going to face. Or so cybersecurity investment is going to become a priority, and safeguarding our and customer and your students intellectual data is going to be a primary things. And quantum computing is going to come with a great computational power, but with it will also come a great responsibility that we all have to work towards it, right? So staying informed and working and investing strategically into products and fixing all these issues is going to be the next biggest thing for a quantum future which is safe. Thank you so much.